Logically, this will be our first story. Former General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, Kwadwo Usue-Afriyie, popularly known as Sir John, has passed on. He is reported to have died in Accra after a short illness. Until his death, Sir John was the Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission. He died after testing positive for COVID-19. He succumbed to complications of the disease while undergoing treatment at the ICU of the Kolibutigen Hospital.
Degradation out there, and I want to leave the Forestry Commission leaving a legacy of having planted these trees back and having made Ghana green again, and to put smiles on all of us.
Later in the bulletin, we'll be live from the Forestry Commission and hear from some of his subordinates and workers. On the other side of town, there's been massive turnout in the ongoing EC registration exercise in the Bono East region, with safety COVID-19 protocols being adhered to, with the exception of some social distancing protocols. Joint news checks in most of the constituencies revealed that more work also needed to be done with regards to social distancing protocols to avert any possible community spread of coronavirus. Anna Sabit has been engaging some leaders in the region and has filed this report on day 2 of the exercise.
The registration exercise started slowly in most parts of the Bono East region due to early morning showers. Registrants, however, defied the rains to join the queues in their quest to get their voter ID cards. Whilst the use of the nose mask and the adherence to the hand-washing protocols were strictly observed in most areas, social distancing protocols were poorly observed at the various registration centers. Deputy Minister for Regional Reorganization and Development and parliamentary candidate for the New Patriotic Party in the Techiman South constituency, Martin Ajay Mensah-Korsah, tells Joy News that more work needs to be done in order to observe the safety COVID-19 protocols.
So far, it's been very smooth, very peaceful, except for some occasional delays. Otherwise, there's been peace, there's order. With regards to the protocols, it looks like there's still some work to do. I have visited since yesterday all the 20 centers in Techiman. In some few places it was okay, but in other places people still have to do a bit of distancing.
Though impressed with the conduct of the exercise, Mr. Ajay Mensah-Korsah called on the people to stick to the protocols in order to minimize the spread of the pandemic.
You can see even here some people are not wearing it or do draw it to their chin. But we need to keep enforcing it so that people can be safe and avoid the spread of this pandemic.
In the Kintampo North constituency, the situation isn't different. We met the municipal chief executive and parliamentary candidate for the New Patriotic Party, Michael Sarkodie-Bafo, in a monitoring tour of the exercise. He tells me the exercise has been largely peaceful, even though Kintampo North was once seen as a flashpoint during similar registration exercises.
I haven't heard anything from the police. I haven't had any report also from the monitoring team. And so I think relatively the exercise is peaceful. And the patronage is also okay. People are patronizing it. I think this is the most peaceful registration exercise ever in Kintampo. You know, this place has always been, one of the flashpoints, but for this particular one, this particular season, I think everything is going on smoothly.
We also spotted Mr. Adujan, who is the Director General of the Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in ICT. He disclosed to Joy News that the exercise has been one of the best so far as the voter registration is concerned.
In the past, we've had situations in which in the middle of it, they will say, oh, papers are jammed, we need ink, we need this to print. For the 3 constituencies that we have visited, we've never encountered that issue. It's going on smoothly. The printing machines are going on fine. The biometric machines are all functioning as clearly defined by EC. So I'm very much satisfied with the technology that we have deployed for this exercise.
He added that the collaboration between the two major political parties devoid of vigilantism is something worth commendation.
When I go, I look for both MPP and NDC agents to see how they are collaborating and they are working together. And so far, I see some kind of good relationship that after all, we are one people. And that is what I've observed. We don't have that vigilantism. Wherever we go, I ask the security, have there been any security breaches? All what they tell me is that no. So far as security is concerned, there hasn't been any breaches.
In all, the exercise has been generally peaceful, and with 4 more days to end the phase 1, we hope that the exercise will see some massive improvements, especially with regards to the COVID-19 protocols. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Kintampo.
Matilda Agamu, the recovered COVID-19 patient in Borga who had suffered stigma, has begun her work as an advocate against the stigmatization of recovered coronavirus patients. Matilda Agamu had to deal with stigma from some community members due to the misfortune of her becoming the first coronavirus patient in the Upper East region. Now, the Rural Initiatives for Self-Empowerment, Rise Ghana, a non-governmental organization based in the region, has recently just brought Matilda on board their community outreach as a hand-washing and anti-stigma awareness champion. Correspondent Albert Sori has more.
Even the fact that she was declared recovered by the Ghana Health Service and discharged from hospital would deter people from discriminating against Matilda and her family. After her plight was reported on Joy News, Matilda's life changed from one of scorn and distress to a life filled with compassion from well-meaning persons who had heard her story. The last time Joy News spoke with Matilda, she talked about her plans of becoming an anti-stigma ambassador for COVID-19.
The NCCE, they came, they sent me out, and we spoke about stigmatization to the youth, to the public, to the FM stations. I want to urge each and everyone to stop discriminating people about COVID-19 or coronavirus.
The Rural Initiatives for Self-Empowerment, Rise Ghana, have provided another platform for Matilda to reach out to the general public with her advocacy. Rise Ghana is an NGO based in the Upper East region and working to promote human rights and sustainable development for all. The organization is currently implementing a COVID-19 emergency response project with the objective of reaching out to at least 1.5 million people with the needed knowledge, attitudes and skills to stop the spread of COVID-19 and prevent stigma.
The president currently, together with Ghana World Health Organization, proposed some protocols that we need to observe in order to stay safe from COVID-19 and also support one another. So I think that's one reason why UNICEF is supporting Rise Ghana to help in the advocacy. So as we are here this afternoon, we are here to do one of our projects, which is the promotion of hand washing and also an infotainment session at the market. You know, as they say, the virus is spread through our hands mostly. So the washing of hands is one of the key protocols that we need to observe. So we are here to introduce to people what the tippy tap is all about, how effective it is, and also it's cost effective. You need less than 10 cedi to be able to put up a tippy tap.
Rise Ghana decided to bring Matilda Agamu on board this project to serve as a hand-washing and anti-stigma awareness champion.
Involving Matilda, when UNICEF Ghana came to Rise Ghana to support them, do the advocacy to support in the emergency response to COVID-19, we saw her and think she would be a good ambassador because stigma has been something that is affecting us a lot.
A confident Matilda Agamu stepped up to the new challenge, stood boldly in front of a crowd of traders in the Bolgatanga Central Market and did what many would be scared to do. Speaking in the local language, She openly revealed her identity as well as her previous COVID-19 status before going on to deliver her message. Matilda told an obviously shocked but curious crowd how stigmatization nearly destroyed her life and urged them to show compassion to people they may know who recover from the coronavirus.
It's because of my personal experience. Yes, what I went through wasn't easy, especially my 8-year daughter. Actually, that one I can never forget. I don't think I can even forget it. I want Ghanaians to understand, or my fellow colleagues, the children, most especially the children. The children should understand that stigma is not the best. And then secondly, the virus is there, especially as they are going back to schools, they have to be careful and then follow the protocol.
Rise Ghana presented Matilda with some materials to help her continue with the advocacy. For Joy News, Albert Sori, reporting from Bolgatanga.
And we don't know, the coronavirus pandemic may have spawned another ailment, misinformation. Today, we take you to the Eastern Regional Community of Domiabra, where residents believe people living in cities are the ones more at risk of contracting the dreaded coronavirus. Again, Joy News' Henry Kwesi Bedu visits the community and has today's episode in Combating Fake News Project.
Ghana's COVID-19 cases have so far been recorded in Accra, Tema, Kumasi and other cities, perhaps due to the huge number of persons living in close proximity and the hive in economic activities. At Domiabra in the New Abrim district of the Eastern region, a predominantly farming community, residents are milling to and fro. There's total disregard for all COVID-19 protocols. Both the young and old here don't see the need to put on face masks. They believe the virus is miles away from where they live.
That's
27-year-old Vivian Asamoah, a mother of two. She refuses to wear the face masks anytime she is in the community because she believes all persons in the community are familiar with each other.
We only wear the face mask when traveling. We know each other here. That is the reason why we don't put on our mask when we go out.
Francis Tay is a palm wine tapper and lives here. He says he will only put on the face mask when he is traveling to Kumasi or Accra.
I can't put on a face mask when I'm in the community. It's impossible. I will only wear it when I'm traveling to the big cities because there is a high risk of contracting it there.
But misinformation could be dangerous in times of pandemics. Are people living in rural areas out of the woods? We have been speaking to Professor Alfred Yosen of the University of Ghana Medical School.
Communities that are far away from the cities, that are not close to major towns, are still not, as we will say, immune from acquiring the infection. It used to be that it started in Accra and then Kumasi, Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Obuasi, and then it went to other regions. And then we stayed around 10, 11 regions. But currently, almost every region has recorded a case, which means that the pandemic is continuing to spread into communities. And therefore, if you are in a community and you think because we are a close community, we know each other, everybody knows every other person. And therefore, when we are within this community, we are not going to wear the masks. It is not advisable to do that. So long as you are outside and you are interacting with other members of the community, you need to protect yourself.
Stay safe, protect yourself by adhering to all precautionary measures aimed at stemming the spread of COVID-19. Henry Kwesi Bedu's reports for Joy News.
Finally, a lone health worker at the only clinic in the Afram Plains area in the Eastern region is begging for support just to get a solar-powered refrigerator for the facility in which he works. The Haji Chips compound currently has no electricity and no refrigerator to preserve medicines, a situation that puts the lives of the hundreds of people who seek medical care there at risk. Here's a report by our own Justice Baidu.
Moses Ganke is one of the country's frontline health workers, going at it alone in one of the places where many of his mates would rarely go.
Talking about the challenges, in fact, if I want to start, I can say I may not even finish.
This is the island community of Haji. It has no electricity, no potable water, and no mobile telephony network. The only clinic here was built by the villagers themselves. Moses recalls how the lack of refrigerator for medicines affects the work that he does.
Just last month, I did 5 deliveries. During delivery, you have some emergencies or complications, and those drugs that you can use to ameliorate those situations are supposed to also to be kept under coating or in the refrigerator as well. But where is the fridge? The deliveries, you have to do it because you don't have enemies. By the time you say you are referring them, they might either deliver on the bank or on the lake.
He has to travel on the sometimes turbulent Afram River using a boat, a journey that sometimes could take up to 2 hours to the nearest community that has electricity every day to store medicines like vaccines.
The facility we are not having engine boats, so I have to rely on people who are having. They don't even have commercial boats that apply to where I store the vaccines. So I have to be begging them, making arrangements. So by the time they are done, it's almost getting to see something. I am appealing to the authorities, the government, Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service, and benevolent individual or Ghanaians. This one I'm not just appealing, I'm begging. In fact, I don't know if I should be on my knee, but maybe it will disturb your recordings. Otherwise, I will be on my knee. For them to come to our aid, to save these innocent children.
Moses' story is like that of many health workers in remote communities across the country. He is hoping that something changes about that soon. Justice Baidu, Joy News, Haji, in the Afram Plains.
So we have to end the news tidbit now, but we do have more news, and we'll be looking at the newspapers we have in the studio. Myself, Mama Vio Swabwaji, Gifty, and then also Joseph Akable. Do stay with us. Well, we've been joined on stream by Gifty and Wapia, who had less sleepers as always. Well, I hope so. And then Joseph Akable. And a good morning to you guys out there. But look, Mama V is back. Was a bit stressed out and under the weather, but she's back, well recovered. Well, I hope so. She looks good behind the marks there. Mama V, how are you? Welcome back. I love your dress.
Thank you.
Very colorful.
How are you?
Yep, chalade.
I think it's been
We've
very
all been
stressful.
Like
yes, a bit overwhelming, a bit stressful,
yeah.
And you need to take a breather once in a while.
Charlie.
It calls for it.
So this is your dress. Is it Adwaya?
No.
Okay.
You want to pay for it?
Oh no, since it's not Adwaya, if it was.
Let's say good morning to Gifty and Joseph. What's up to you guys?
Hello, Mavi. It's good to see you again.
Yeah. Oh, there you are. Good to see both of you. Gifty, anything you want to say? Like you're still smiling.
Yeah. Gifty.
Hi, Mama V. Good morning. It's good to...
Yeah, good morning. It looks like
I mean, it's a long smile. I just feel a little bit overwhelmed.
Yeah, we all are, aren't we?
The death of Sir John and other things, you know.
That's true.
You just have to smile through it.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I can relate. I mean, but how are you guys holding up? I mean, like, let's talk about how life.
I hope my internet is better today, though.
Well, I think it's a bit stable. Like right now, it got really stable. So I was just saying, you know, working through this period, like, really, how is it like? How? Because I don't know if psychologically or if it's. I'm not sure. Like, can you help thinking about all the other things happening around? Because I can't help it.
Yeah.
You know.
The currency has not been.
I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about coronavirus.
Oh, okay.
It's been quite tough, Mama V. I mean, the fact is that there's a lot happening around that, and so the stress of the work, and there's what I call the psychological symptoms that every 2 or 3 days you hear or know someone who is tested positive, and it's, I mean, more or less comes as a rude awakening, and you feel a bit uncomfortable that you are showing those same symptoms. And so, but after a few days, you're okay again. So that kind of mental stress and its effects, maybe it's something that we should look at a conversation around the psychological symptoms that we tend to experience around this period. It's really a tough time to be alive at this point, and we can only stick to the protocols and ensure that we keep ourselves safe.
Absolutely. All right, let's stick to the newspapers then. Let's do the review. I see, Gifty, you've got the Daily Guide and the Daily Dispatch. You could start, Gifty.
Yeah. Okay. I have the Daily Guide. The Daily Guide banner banner headline. Oh dear Lord. Banner headline says, NDC gurus turn EC lovers as 19,000 register alone. And then I have another story on that in Asante Achim North NPP. And then there is also a picture of the health minister, and the story is the for health workers special allowance. And then beneath that story is Robert Storm's story we did earlier on the AM show. I also have the Daily Dispatch. The Daily Dispatch front page, I don't know why I keep saying frontless. There's 79 MPs missed 2017 Parliament because of internal party primaries. And then we are crowding at registration centers EC, and Kofi Aban appointed member of Kotoko board. That story is on page 2 of the Dispatch newspaper. I think, Mama, those are the papers that I have at the moment. Yeah.
All right, let me continue with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the Graphic. Third presidential pitch entrepreneur, 26 wins, 100,000 Ghana cedis prize. Fidelity Bank posts 322 million Ghana cedis profit in 2019. The Electoral Commission's measures to curb and prevent spread of COVID-19 also contained in the paper today. As of July 1, case counts, COVID-19 stands at 17,741, recovered, discharged 13,268, and the deaths 112. But this one is a bit disappointing for me. Review punishment for not wearing nose mask. That's the Ghana Bar Association calling at this time, really, like, where have they been? I think they are losing the kind of force that they are noted for. They used to be noted for, the Ghana Bar Association, I'm afraid. But this is a call that has come way too late. Like, it's almost like, where have they been? In the center spread, MPs completes first phase of Tema Port's expansion. $200 million boost for pharma industry, and then framework to improve police media relations launched. On the back page, reclaim lands using proven methodologies, mining company told. And then Cosmos Energy presents COVID-19 test machine to the Ghana Health Service. Let's do the Ghanaian Times before, Joseph, you come through with the Statesman and the Business and Financial Times. The Ghanaian Times front page, well, this same headline in the graphic, the banner headline also here, the presidential pitch program, 3 winners back 210,000 Ghana cedis. Day 2 of voters registration exercise, social distance defiance persists as guarantor system slows down process. Finance Ministry earmarks 80 million Ghana cedis special allowance for frontline health workers. Will prosecute anyone who guarantees for more than 10 applicants. That's according to the Electoral Commission on the back page. Ensure strict compliance on health protocols at registration centers. A call by the Northern Regional Minister. Ghana Wildlife Society calls for appropriate disposal of PPE to curb pollution. So by way of headlines, that's it on the back page of the Daily Graphic. Joseph Akable?
We can do the front page of the BNFT first before we go into that of the Statesman. The BNFT has the presidential pitch story. It says Douglas Akoglo wins presidential pitch, walks away with 100,000 cedis. That's some good money. Still on the front page, crude revenue drops 5% despite a 15% increase in production for 2019. Also on the front page of the BNFT, and 80 million cedis set aside to pay 50% allowance for health workers. We can do the back page now. It says Prudential Bank donates 100,000 to Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, and Olam partners with Mitsubishi Corporation to deliver COVID-19 relief efforts, also on the back page of the BNFT. We can move on to the Daily Statesman now. A number of stories on the front page. The first one here says, EC satisfied with registration exercise. 154,000 Central Region residents get potable water as President Akufo-Addo fulfills another campaign promise. And 1 million cedi for 20 young entrepreneurs on the front page as well. The back page has the story from the best club on earth, Kumasi Asante Kotoko. We've appointed Kofi Amwa Aban as a member of the Kotoko board. Mama, do you have any
did they add the best club to the story, or you just see when you are not the best?
I have it. That's why I'm seeing it. I don't have the paper. That's the story also about Jurgen Klopp saying we will attack, title not defend it.
Embellishing.
Sensational journalism. That's it.
Embellishing reports.
I'm the only one who has the newspaper, so I know what I'm reading.
You're the only one.
That is it for the Daily Statesman and the BNFT Roland.
Okay, so let me do the Finder. The Finder has on the front page, entrepreneurship innovation are key to economic revival after COVID-19. We're still battling it. So after, I'm just wondering when the after will be. President challenges presidential pitch season 3 winners. ICU rallies more support for hospitality sector, and EcoBank robust and profitable, we're told, according to the Business Finder. Let me do the Daily Heritage has on the front page, payment to determine our vote, locked up monies. That is coming from customers of defined banks, micro financial institutions, etc. We also have decongestion of prisons, review amnesty criteria, according to POS Foundation, and 400,000 private school teachers to lose jobs. Should be reading to lose jobs, not to lost jobs. If Ministry of Education insists on teacher licensing. And on the back page of the Daily Heritage is about the African Cup of Nations postponed until 2022. And Messi is said to have scored his 700 career goal. I know that a Barcelona supporter like Joseph Akable will have a lot to say about Lionel Messi. Very good player of our time. Ultimately, I know we'll take over Cristiano Ronaldo in the standings of some of the best scorers of the game, best players ultimately. He's still a bit younger than Cristiano Ronaldo. I think that'll be it for me. All right. Joseph, you have any pick for today, this morning? Perhaps we can start running with yours in the first place.
There are a number of stories in the news. We are not seeing a lot on the COVID stories coming up in the news, but it's of major concern. The EC is reported to have said it is satisfied with the registration exercise. I mean, I think our colleague Maxwell and our other correspondents across the country monitored day 2 yesterday. And the reports that came in is that, I mean, there was a slight improvement by way of people wearing masks and having Veronica buckets and water available. However, the concern still remains about the distancing in the queues, and that's when the real problem is. And we heard from a public health analyst yesterday, Dr. Amoisi of the KCCR, who is making the point that, I mean, that is a major concern, aside from the fact that people tend to spend more time. And so his argument was that if you spend more time at those locations where you have a lot of people, it increases the probability of contracting the virus. And so he says it's something that the EC should equally pay attention to. And so it's quite interesting that the EC will describe the process generally as satisfactory, even though its officers have admitted the distancing issues. I think there will come a point where we need to do some careful analysis and decide whether or not the current system we have in place is fine or we should go back to the restrictions. We've seen other countries who have done that. They've lifted the restrictions and eventually have gone back to it because of the surge in cases that doesn't go down at all. And so I think that is the point I will get to at some stage. And I mean, it's important that our handlers and those who are managing this particular issue will come to the table relying on the data and the science, not the one that was used some time back.
But we do know that following the WHO revised protocols, even though some few days later, they also, in sections of the British media and the world media, actually had to backtrack on the asymptomatic cases and their infection rate. I know that we also did follow same. Currently in America, for example, California or Los Angeles used to record some nice headway as far as their management of the disease. But today in America, Fauci is saying the could reach to between 50,000 and 100,000 cases daily. That's scary, you see. And I think what we're seeing the last couple of days is not good. While we don't want to be doommongers or scaremongers, or doomsayers or scaremongers, so to speak, I also do know that the reality is hitting us hard on the face. Socioculturally, we find it difficult to adhere to anything that our convictions just don't tell us is the right thing to do. And that is why we're having our reporters go on the ground in the communities. And the community people who are queuing to go and register are just not adhering to the protocols. I don't know what the health authorities think. I don't know what the Ghana Medical Association thinks. We have College of Surgeons and Physicians, all of them based in Ghana here. Everybody is mute. But for those of us who are around people, it is scary. Yesterday, I spoke to a friend of mine who works with one of the biggest centers we have testing cases in Ghana. And he told me that, oh, if I have friends who are reporting cases at a workplace or any other workplace, oh, it is normal now. If he is saying it is normal now, it means that it's as serious as it can get. How do I interpret what he's telling me? I don't know. I don't know whether to be frustrated or to think that nobody is doing anything about it.
I think we don't, we are seeing...
I agree with this point about the results not coming early. I mean, I have heard from people, it's now taking close to 10, 11 days for people to get their results. These
even
are
12.
Positive results, unlike in the past when we were told that they were negative results.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, I think we just have to... we're not seeing the corresponding action. We know that we're recording a lot of cases. We're hearing that the centers are full. We're seeing a lot of cases in the ICU. But we're not feeling the corresponding action to it. So it's almost like business as usual. I don't know where you get that confidence from, Joseph, when you say a time will come when we go back to the restrictions. I don't see it. I mean, the political activities are here. Look at us. We're doing registration. We're doing 2 different registrations. We're doing for the election itself, as in the voter registration. And we're also doing the national card as well. I mean, people are simply not following the protocol, but we knew this was going to happen. And that's why there was a call for there to be some kind of guidance, somebody making sure that people stick to the rules. We knew this was going to happen. I mean, leave it to us alone. People are not even wearing the mask. That's why we have a law, for instance. So we knew this was going to happen. I don't see us seriously coming up with actions that says that we're in a critical situation. We hear the big names. I mean, yesterday, unfortunately, we had the passing of Sir John, for instance. We've had some big names who tested for COVID-19. But they're just the big names. We have plenty more people that nobody's telling their stories. I mean, ordinary Ghanaians, citizens. And I don't see us doing anything as a nation to, you know, like, it's not, we're not shaking. You get what I mean? We're not. Gifty, I don't know what you think.
Yeah, you see that I think I'm uncharacteristically quiet this morning. You know, I am a bit petty, so something keep it running. But it's just, you know, this is just heavy burden, and I get the feeling that this is the real typical Ghana that I have grown to come to know. We do things because we want to do it, irrespective of the evidence that stares at us. But I think this is just exposing that part of us that look, and we always say this, especially in Parliament, that the majority will have their way. It looks like this is what is happening. So a lot of people spoke against the registration process. A lot of people said this is not good civil society, but we know that body, they finally got, and there were so many things that just didn't make any sense, you know, like a full-blown re-registration of over 17 million people, like the CSOs, the civil society organization said, that we could have done a saying, now that there is technology, why don't we explore the angle of getting people to register remotely? But of course, we know that internet access is poor. Not that everybody has internet. I'm living in Spintex, and what feedback you're getting. I'm seeing on my computer right now that internet connection is unstable. So could we have done this another time? That's what everybody said. We saw it coming, and here it is with us. People are not going to obey the restrictions. They are not going to do them because we don't have a police force that can do that. We don't have the space to keep people when we arrest them. It's just simple common sense, and it overwhelms me, and it just saddens me today about Sir John's death. We've heard that there are other high-profile people in ICU, etc. Do we have this? Is, sorry, forgive my language, stupid. I'm sorry. I'm just really like jumping out the window right now, and we can't allow this to happen. I am here feeling like this. What about other people, the mental fortitude? There are people who don't even see anything wrong with this. This is what tells us that this shouldn't have been done now. But look, we are here, deal with the problem that we have created, and we are creating for ourselves. I really hope we get to work it out somehow. I don't know. But yeah, look at the newspapers, Mama V. I'm looking at how, I'm sorry, but I don't want to hear about the presidential pitch at this time. I don't want to hear about who has 1,000 cities. I'm sorry. I don't want to. This is not the story I want to see. I want to see what we are doing to make sure that the people who are going to register are doing, to see something that assures me that my grandmother, who is over 80 years in Tema, will not be vision, and that she will die at some point. You know, I see that the newspapers didn't really, most of the newspapers are not even reporting, you know, and you know, the registration problems that we're having, you know, I mean, the problem solution centers. I'm not seeing any of that. I'm seeing the Ghanaian Times that has a little bit of that, you know, is reporting on social distance, defiance persists as guarantor system slows down. It's in a corner beneath the presidential pitch that we need to push more on education, because if that's what we need for people to sit up, let's do it. I don't, but yeah, I mean, we have to keep hope alive and speak up and hope that the right things will be done. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all we've got. I mean, it's unfortunate that that's all we've got. With all the things that we've instituted, with all the talks, with all the noise that we've made, you know, thinking we were serious about this, here we are. This is what we have. Hope, right? Yeah. Okay. Maybe we can do myjoyonline.com with the rest of the hope that we have before we run up. Roland, is there any other story?
It's just I know time is up, the Krapimpolo video, picture that dominated social media about 2 days ago with the reactionary actions taken by the Ministry of Gender. And then also the argument it has generated that I thought that maybe if we had time we can look at. I know Gifty is very passionate. Yesterday she was very animated in the newsroom.
Really?
So I'm thinking,
on this issue?
Yeah, you were annoying, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think all of us have grown through families very close to our mothers. So it's something that I thought maybe we could have talked about.
I'll disappoint you, my personal opinion. I'll spend my strength and my time not following trends, but doing the COVID story and talking about centers being full.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in somebody who wants to trend with her naked body.
I'm not sure it's about the trends. It's just about
with her son.
What is appropriate? What is appropriate to go public and what is not? Yes.
Do they know what is appropriate to go public? I mean, I think the whole thought makes me angry. That's why I don't even want to talk about. They will do anything to trend.
I will go with Roland. Yeah. I know. I can imagine how Mama feels, but I know, and I'll go with Roland on this one. Child doesn't know anything. This child is just, you know, I mean, they just follow. You do things and they just follow. And that I did dissertations that helped me to look at children development, child communication related, and I do psychoanalysis of children, and children are they're following us so much that everything we do for them.
Unfortunately, I think we're not getting a great connection from Gifty. Well, it started, got better. Let's do myjoyonline.com just before we go, though. There we have it. This story, unbelievable. The newspapers missed it, obviously, because of the time that it came. Forestry Commission boss Sir John is dead. And if you click on the story, it will tell you how he died at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. He had been there, I think, about a week now. And then he got a bit unstable with breathing difficulties. But he had tested positive for COVID-19. And sadly, yesterday, he passed. We're also told about some MPP big shots. The MPP's campaign manager, for instance, Mark Menu, the Deputy Trades Minister, Carlos Ahenkra, all in the Kolebu ICU after testing positive for COVID-19. That reminds me, there was the Education Minister and Dan Boucher as well. We were told that they had tested, but they had not received their results.
They said they were at the red zone. You know the red zone?
I have, well, sights and sounds of Sir John in Ghanaian politics. So a lot of people remembering Sir John. We've had the Vice President also saying, rest in peace, my good friend. Here are some other stories. Well, social media react to passing of Sir John. 393 new cases of the coronavirus being recorded. More on Sir John. I am shocked. I can't believe it. Freddie Blay saddened by Sir John's demise. We've had even people in the NDC yesterday. They would not react because they said they had not gotten over the shock. Police initiate probe into murder of man who tried to stop rapists. And then police pick key leads in robbery and killing of caretaker of Bantama SDA Church. All right, so there are plenty of stories on myjoyonline.com. Unfortunately, not very pleasant, some of the news, you know, that we are we're sharing with you this morning, but that's what we have to face today in terms of everything else that we're dealing with. We'll take a breather, we'll bring you sports. Benedict will join us with details in sport.
Well, hi there. A very good morning to you, wherever you are. You're watching me this morning on the Joy News channel. It's the AM show and time to update you in the world of sports. A lot happened last night in the English Premier League. Chelsea, with their new jersey, with 3 in front, drank 3 goals. So we'll tell you about that also. I'll tell you how Arsenal, for the very first time since the project restarted playing at the Emirates Stadium, were able to beat Norwich by 4 goals to 0. That was a good result for Arsenal, with Aubameyang scoring 2 of those goals, plus other matches that are played in Italy and in Spain. But we have to start here on the local scene, and good news for Ghanaian clubs because the Football Association, after cancelling the 2019-20 Ghana Premier League season, has noted that the COVID-19 relief fund will be shared among clubs. And according to the FA, they've asked their finance committee, headed by the vice president of the FA, that's Mr. Macado, to go through and advise them on how best to do that. So what it means is that the FA is entitled to $1 million that will be paid in 2 tranches from FIFA. And the first tranche will come, that's July 2020. The second tranche, so the first tranche of $500,000 will come, that's this month. And then the second will come January 2021. And the money, according to them, is to be shared among clubs that compete in the top level leagues. So the grassroots footballers, the juvenile, they will get there's lower tier leagues, and women's football will get. And FIFA has also set aside $500,000 purposely for women's football, and that's good news. And the finance committee, of course, they have 1 week to submit their report to the Executive Council for further action. So the Executive Council will look at that and see the action that they will take in terms of the disbursement of the funds to the respective clubs. But let's still stay with the FA, because they've announced that they've reached a consensus to enroll players in the Women's Premier League on the YEA program, and 480 players will be paid 500 Ghana cedis as monthly allowance for the next 6 months, beginning from July 2020. So that's also a bit of a stimulus package coming in for the women's players. So every player will take 500 Ghana cedis for the next 6 months, starting from this month. Okay, so we're hoping to speak to Media Mayesis Communications Director Patrick Agoto for his reaction on the COVID-19 relief fund that is coming for the clubs, and also how they are taking the cancellation of the Premier League. We are not able to do so. Later when we get him, we'll speak to him. But away from the local scene, let's quickly get to England and check what happened last night at the London Stadium when where Chelsea played. Okay, we have Patrick Akoto on, so let's quickly go and speak to Patrick. Patrick, thanks so much for joining me this morning on the show.
Thank you very much, Benedict, for having me.
One time. So, Patrick, first of all, you guys were doing very, very well until the league was suspended. Now it's been cancelled. And, you know, by the rules, Asante Kotoko, of course, would have to represent us in Africa. But you guys were in a very poor position to win this season's Premier League. How do you take in all these?
Well, we find ourselves in a very difficult situation. It's clearly a decision that was beyond the Ghana Football Association. And so we welcome the decision to cancel the 2019-2020 season. In as much as it appears quite disappointing, clearly the uncertainty surrounding the coronavirus shutdown made it practically impossible for the season to continue. We had as many as 19 more matches to clear. There are no guarantees and safeties in this era of football. So we have no difficulties at all. We respect the decision of the Executive Council, and we are okay as a club. We have no difficulties. I mean, the human lives are more important in this era. And if you look at the fact that in the build-up to this decisive decision from the FA, it had always been anticipated that football clearly was not on the radar of government at the moment. So it was expected, and we are not surprised that the FA had to finally decide to annul this particular season. Let's go. We are ready to regroup, rebound, and do battle in the 2020-2021 season.
And as you say, the hijibijis of the pandemic caused what we are in now. But I mean, good news for you guys in terms of the COVID-19 relief fund that is coming through. The FAA has directed the finance committee to look into that.
I don't. It's a welcoming. I don't even know why we need a finance committee to advise the GFA. If the money is available, it's just split it for the various clubs. I mean, the Premier League clubs, the Division 1, the women football are waiting for the cash. We know the coordinate, Benedict. We know the figure. They should just get a calculator and then split the money for the club, so it will ease the financial burden of some of the many clubs that are struggling under this COVID pandemic. I don't think we need a finance committee to advise on how money should be shared among 18 Premier League and 48 Division 1 clubs. All you need is a calculator, and then we are good to go. So, but it's a welcoming news. We appreciate that from FIFA and by extension by the Ghana Football Association. There was no need for any finance committee to sit on anything. It is a very straightforward matter. The money has come. Let them split the money so that we can be eased.
All right, Patrick, thank you very much for your time this morning. So that was Patrick Akuto, Communications Director of Media Mercy. Always, lovely speaking to.
Well, so again, we have to recall all the related things. We've been talking about the registration and the non-adherence to the COVID protocols mainly.
Yeah, exactly. And then, when we're doing the review, we had Gifty say that we haven't even seen a true representation of what has been happening on the ground. We had reporters go on the grounds to do some checks for us. Let's bring you playbacks of some of the reports.
Disappointingly, here at the Blizzard Assurance Registration Center, social distancing is not really happening. Many of the people here have started wearing their masks after they've seen our cameras. But what we observed when we came here was that some of them had it in their pocket, some of them were wearing it under their chins. In fact, many of them were not wearing their masks. Social distancing, it's a big problem here.
Social distancing, poor. Nose masks, no. Washing of hands, I am not seeing it. But what I'm seeing really, what I'm seeing really is the thermometer gun. The thermometer gun is being applied.
Okay.
But for the social distancing, you can even see from the cameras that it is not the best. And some of them are not even having their nose masks, and they are even shouting.
David Anna,
yeah.
Okay. Are you a resident here?
Yes, I'm a resident here. We advise most of them to wear it because the thing is very dangerous. The sickness is very dangerous. But to my opinion, I have only one problem to say. This kind of queue is unnecessary. To me, it's very unnecessary. Because why the government didn't want to use the whole one?
I am an official for a political party, right? My people in Choco respected social distancing before. No, it's a problem that they always see. It's a problem we have here. They won't respect it. This is Choco for you.
Okay, we are here at the City Engineers Registration Center 1 and 2. And as you can see, some persons have gathered here outside the presence of the registration center. So, this lady standing here is one of the people deployed here, one of the health persons deployed here to this particular registration center. Hi.
I'm here to check the temperature and to record any case which is beyond me.
Okay.
So I quickly check their temperature before they go wash their hands. Then they proceed to the next level.
I've been speaking to the Jamestown District Crime Officer, ASP Williams Kalami. He says they are enforcing strict wearing of the face mask here. Persons who show up at this registration center without a face mask are asked to go home, get one before they return.
So far today is very calm as compared to yesterday. Because initially yesterday there was a problem which was resolved leading to late start of the program. So people were agitating. But today everything is smooth think with the programs we put in place, everything is very smooth. The role of the police is very simple, to maintain law and order so that the exercise moves on smoothly.
Okay. Are you also checking whether people are complying with the social distancing protocol and the wearing of face masks? Are you also doing that here?
Yes, of course. You know, we are faced with a pandemic, and we must make sure we are all safe. So we see to it that people come with face masks. The social distances should also be observed. So we are ensuring that it is observed.
What about those who come without face masks? What happens to them?
Yeah, personally, I have even spotted some people who were not wearing face masks, and I advised them and sacked them, and they went back and came back in there.
Okay. So if you come here without face masks, you'll be sacked and asked to go and get one?
Yes, sure.
Aswasi constituency parliamentary seat remains the only one the governing MPP has never annexed in its stronghold Ashanti region since its creation in 2004. Constituencies like New Odibiase, Ejura Sechedumase, Ahafwano North and Sechira Plains, considered NDC backyard, have changed hands between the two political parties. Currently holding 44 out of the 47 constituencies of the region, the NPP has declared what it terms 47-47, which means it is determined to snatch all 3 seats occupied by the NDC in the region. No wonder allegations of manipulation have started flying. Incumbent MP Muntaka Mubarak claims people are being buzzed from outside to register in Aswasi.
Clearly, you see that they are doing this to enhance cross-boundary activity. For us, we have a simple message. This is our territory. We will do everything to protect it.
He also accuses the EC of creating what he describes as ambiguous registration centers on the periphery of the constituency to aid the MPP agenda.
We believe that they should stick to the CI and allow the police station that have been created. If they want to create more police stations, the law allows them to create more police stations. But to create this ambiguous station that anybody from all the centers will be able to go there, how are you going to even challenge? Because you say
MPP parliamentary aspirant for Aswasi, who is also MC for Sokori Mampong, is counter-accusing the minority chief whip of attempt to disrupt the registration exercise. He says he will hold the MP liable if anything goes wrong in the registration.
Chairperson, you don't pull nerves, you don't say things, warmongering, expressing your own anger with such a sabotage, saying that whoever is coming from his house to come and register to bid farewell to his family before he gets here. It means that we will hold you responsible in case of any hurt. If anybody gets hurt, we shall hold him responsible.
So those were reports from Ododo and Aswasi constituencies in Accra and Kumasi, respectively. We can now speak to Michael Buedu, who is Director of Training with the Electoral Commission. Good morning to you. Thank you for your time. If you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Let's talk about your own observations, because we've had Tuesday, Wednesday of 2 days of the exercise. Your own observations, I'm sure you've heard what others have also said, but let's see what you've seen as an Electoral Commission.
Yes, thank you very much. And good morning to you and your listeners. We will simply say that the first 2 days for registration has been generally good, notwithstanding some few challenges. It would be fair and appropriate to describe it as generally successful, in the sense that our devices haven't given us much of a problem. The officials themselves are doing well, on top of the job, and the numbers we are recording increasing. The first day was a bit lower, but it's moving up because the officials themselves are they are experienced now, and they are gathering more experience as they perfect the act of typing and improving upon their skills. And so with the coming days, you're going to have better results than we have had in the past 2 days. And so I must say, yes, we have some few challenges though, but generally it's been impressive.
So do you know how many people have registered so far? Are we able to track in real time?
Yes. No, we are collating them. I'll not be able to tell you now, but I can do that later on. What we do is that we get daily returns, but some of them do come a bit late. You have to get at them in the early morning so you can analyze them. So
we've observed.
All of them now.
Okay, I appreciate that. We've some of our reporters have observed in some centers how the machines have slowed down. I remember having a conversation before the exercise, and there was a lot of assurances that this time around the sort of machines that we have, they have a lot of speed. So we will see the process speed up. But we've had reports of places where the machines have been slow. We've had issues of people absolutely not observing the health protocols because of COVID-19. But you say that you've recorded few challenges. I'm interested in knowing what your challenges have been.
Okay. Let me start with this. You mentioned that spots of places, places where the machine is slow. So what it means is that it's not widespread. Most of the places the machines are performing effectively. So this is it's a machine equipment. You must sometimes have some few challenges, but the interesting thing is that once the machine develops any fault, we quickly replace it and then find time to fix the problem with that machine and then make it available for another center. So sometimes the machine running slow. Wherever we get that problem, we are able to fix it because we have spare kits and we have technicians that are well trained to do that, and the vendors also have technicians that will fix this machine. So when the challenge comes, we are able to solve it.
Okay, so that's one of the challenges. What are the other challenges?
Yes, the other is very obvious. Our machine itself hasn't given much problem, but the other activities we need to do, especially because of the COVID, it's really giving us a problem because if we ask you to social distance and social distance yourself.
Mr. Boyd, sorry, who is responsible in ensuring that there is effective social distancing at a center?
Three bodies or persons responsible. The users, the security, and then the applicant themselves. It's a collective responsibility. We will create that avenue, make sure there are seats that are spaced out, or if there are no seats, you have to stand. We mark the floor so you will stand with the marks, so you will not get closer. And we keep announcing at the center, make sure you not get closer. And so if you flout this, and the security will be there to help us maintain it. And then thirdly, you yourself, as an individual, knowing the environment you find ourselves, this country area, you just have to take your own life, health into your hands and just comply. I went to a few places and the arrangement was very wonderful. I mean, well spaced out. But you go to other places and it's not good to speak about.
So those who did so well, where did they get their training from?
No, the spacing I'm talking about it's not our officials that it is the people, the applicants. But then our officials will insist that you space out and maintain these protocols. But some of the applicants will not just take.
But we knew human beings. I mean, we knew Ghanaians would not stick to what you just say. That's why, for instance, we have a law. If you don't wear your mask, the law deals with you. So I don't expect that the Electoral Commission would rely solely on us as citizens to do the right thing, knowing that the disease is a killer. Some people will simply flout it.
Yes, that's why we have the security there. So that the city is helping us maintain law and order. And maintaining social protocol is part of maintaining law and order, to help us get order. So we, together with the security, will have to ensure that these things are observed. And so if you flout it, then we can ask you to leave the center and come when you're ready to vote, because to register. It's obviously means they are not yet ready to register. If you are ready, you will just obey this simple thing. But if you come and do your own thing, then you're not ready. So it's an equally asking to me. But we for now want to appeal to them. We want to educate them. We want to let them understand the need to observe some of these things. And that's what we are doing. But if it gets to a point that they're so adamant and don't want to, then we'll have to compel them. And the security is there to help us do that. Let's compel them to obey these things.
Mr. Boyd, I was listening to reports yesterday. There's a center near Kolebu where they recorded, I think, about 20 persons whose temperatures had gone above the required figures. In some of the instances, they said they would let you sit and relax a bit. They would do the check-in again. And if the temperature goes down, then they'll allow you to register. Otherwise, they call for backup for you to be taken care of. I wonder how many of these things have come to your attention in terms of people's temperatures going up. There were reports of some people also coughing, even though they were hiding it. They were showing some sort of signs of COVID-19, but they were hiding it.
Okay. In fact, we have not come across such reports as of now, but of course we cannot be everywhere all the time. And it's good you have given us this information. And I don't know whether it was by design or accident. It happened at no other place than closer to Kolebu. So, yes, I'm sure those over there will not have a problem trying to get help.
Okay, so this has not come to your attention?
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. But what you said is the appropriate thing to do. It's not in the hands of the health personnel on our team. So when they check and it is beyond that, yes, they will ask you to wait, because sometimes maybe because you have to walk for long distance to try again and all that.
Okay.
And if you are not getting a positive response, then they take it up from there. So that's the appropriate thing to do.
After 2 days of the exercise, what has been typically the time, the amount of time that a person, can register?
Can register?
Yes.
Between 10 and 15 minutes, you should go.
Hey, within what? Please say it again.
10, 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes.
I'm not adding when you join the queue. If you come and there are 30 people in the queue, you have to wait to get a turn. But when you start registering, actually, writing your names on the form and taking your photographs and all that, it shouldn't take more than 10, 15 minutes. You should go.
Okay, because we've had people wait in queues for 3 hours in some instances.
That much, because just imagine, if I'm taking 10 minutes to register one person and you are number 20. So the first 90 people, each of them 10 minutes, you'll be staying in the queue for 3 hours before you get your turn.
Who is in charge? Who is in charge of overseeing the queues? Because some people go very early, as 3 a.m. to use stones to queue. Is that right?
Well, before 3, we start at 7. So if you go there before 3, we'll not be there. So whatever you want to do at the center, fine. But you can just put stones there, but make sure by the time we come and start, the person should be there. Because only time there's a stone there, and you come and tell it's your stone, how would you? So when we come, and there's already queue there, what we do is to identify them by giving them numbers, if there's not a large number, so that you come serving you based on the number you have given, your cheat, I have given you, and make things faster. And so putting down stones and by 7 they are not there, the stone is there, we cannot accept it. Those there by 7, we'll start serving them. We identify them, we are giving a check, and then we'll start serving them. If you can later and tell us their stone was there, that will not be taken. Yes, so we need a person and not stones. Okay. And then let me also add, some people send their kids, children, to be the key wait for it. It's also wrong, because election is for adults, not minors. And so you have no business bringing the minor there too. So typically if there's a child in the queue, what happens apart from it being wrong? That's right. It is not, yes. And we have queue controllers too. We have on our team, 2 of our team members also double up as queue controller. So, but then the work starts when we start working, and not at 3 a.m. when we have not come. So we'll not be able to control the queue until we have come to start to work. So if a child is in the queue, even though the child is standing in for the parents, they will send the child away. It's not good. You see, a child should not be there. Because, the restriction area is a restricted area. Yes, I get that. I'm just talking about exactly. But I'm looking at the action, the corresponding action. What happens to a child who is found in the queue? You have to ask the child to go home because you cannot be at the center. Okay. It's not for minors. Yes, you ask the child to go home and call the mother or the father. Yes. The issue of the guarantees. If I haven't registered, if I don't have a voter's ID, but I've got a passport or I have a Ghana card, I can guarantee for someone, correct? Yes. Okay. Wait, no. Come again. If you have not registered, or if a Ghana card or passport, you have to first register before you can guarantee. Okay. For someone. So yes, you have to first register as a voter before you can guarantee. So I have the card, the voter card. And I have guaranteed for somebody for 5 people in Kokomlemle. Okay. I've gone to Kanishi to guarantee for another 5. Okay. And I've gone to maybe say the Central Region to guarantee for another 5. How will the Electoral Commission know? Well, no, so we take your voter particulars when you come to register. We enter them to the system. And so when we do the matching of all kids from the various centers, we will find out. So it's not something that will be discovered immediately? No, because our system this is offline registration, so it's not network. It's offline. So it's not, if you have an online, then you have a straightforward, but this is offline. And so it's only when we finish and we bring the data to our database and put them together, which we do on a daily basis anyway. So at the end of every week, we'll export them and then we'll match. And we know. So we will know there, but not, we're not at the central point, but not at the respective police station. Every the same police station, we will know immediately. But if you go between 2 police stations or 2 centers, and by the nature of the system, once it is not this network, you wouldn't know. You will know when you put the things together. So what will happen to a person who, I'm not talking about the person who guarantees, but the person who is a recipient or who is a beneficiary of that guarantee? You cannot fault the beneficiary because he's not in a position to know whether the person will guarantee for more than the required number or not. So it tests the guarantor that will be penalized. And the form that you complete before you guarantee for somebody, it certifies that. So we find out that if you've done anything untoward, you will bear the consequence and you sign. So you will be punished as a guarantor and not the beneficiary of your service. Okay. How is the guarantee system? Have you observed people guaranteeing for others? Yes. For the first 2 days, the response that we got, people voting using NIA card appears to be on the higher side, very huge number compared to even the guarantee. And so it's reached a lower, if my memory serves right, OT region, the first data we got, about 5,000 plus had registered using NIA, and about barely 500 or something use a guarantee system to register. But that should be understood because if you don't have any of these cards, the NIA and the passport, you have to wait for those with these cards to register first before they can guarantee for you. And so I'm sure that is what happened. And maybe over the time, over years, within the course of time, we will get more people using the guarantee. So of course, by after a certain time, most people would have And those with these approved cards when I've registered already, I'll be in a position to also guarantee for others. But now for our records, the guarantee people, the those registering with guarantee, it's a bit lower, far lower than those registering with NIA.
Finally, Mr. Boyd, if you go to the Electoral Commission website, which is up and running again, where you can find the forms to fill, is it for all of us? Can I print out and fill out before I go to a center?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can.
So it's not like it's for a certain category of persons. It's for anybody who can access it.
No, because the system cannot determine who is assessing. Once you're able to open it, you can assess it. So it's for everybody. You can just download, complete it, and submit. It's just a way of facilitating the process. Once it's done, and we go and we check everything is done, it takes a shorter time to check your form than to complete a new one for you at the center.
All right.
And so it's a good way of saving time at the center. That is all.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir, for your time. I guess because the process is still ongoing, we'll get to have plenty more conversations. But thank you so much for your time this morning. And that's Director of Training with the Electoral Commission, Michael Boyd, is speaking to us. Roland, we have another leg of this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Because closely linked to COVID-19 is how we also need to deal with diseases or ailments that come about because of the weather pattern. We're talking the rainy season, and it is accompanied by certain ailments. But, well, the next phase of the segment is going to take us about how we can educate ourselves, become very much conversant with what diseases are there accompanying the period, and then what we can do. We do have joining us via Zoom infectious disease experts or specialists at the Kolibu Fevers Unit, and then the UGMC, the big place where we're keeping some of the topmost big men for COVID-19. But look, good morning to you, Dr. Isabella Ifuasamwa.
Good morning.
How have you been doing yourself? It's a rainy season.
It's okay. A little busy with COVID activities, but fairly good.
Usually this time of the season, pre-COVID, what usually are the ailments or some of the diseases that we tend to record?
So it's been a cyclical pattern, as you said, seasonal, and most of the time with the rains or just after the rains with some flooding, we are seeing more of malaria, diarrheal diseases, and also a lot of the viral infections. Of course, now with COVID still ongoing.
So the symptoms of those ailments, are they, what are they usually? What are the predominant ones?
So by and large, they share about the same constitutional symptoms. So you may have fever, you may have you may easily be fatigued, you may have muscle pain, joint pains, so we'll call them myalgia, arthralgia. You may have headaches. So unfortunately, all these three may present with that, more so with malaria, and then the viral infections, which are usually the upper respiratory tract infections, the common cold. And now with the COVID as well, you may have overlapping COVID presentations that you may mistake it for malaria or the upper respiratory tract infection. And of course, the diarrheal disease, they are often presented as diarrhea plus or minus vomiting. And what is worrying is if it goes on for quite a long time without prompt resuscitation, then you are going to have somebody becoming more lethargic and then go into a more severe case, which can lead to fatalities. Yeah.
And for you, the disease and health expert, when we have such seasons, do you send maybe treatment guidelines out depending on how you have observed, or you just go the regular route?
So I know for sure that Ghana Health Service puts up an alert, especially regarding cholera. With the malaria control program, every district, every hospital has a way of surveillance, like monitoring what is going on. Okay? So as health professionals, there are those of us who are in the hospitals, which by way of practice, you have to add on when you are given medicines and all that, you add on the advice, that's the non-pharmacological therapies advice. But then Ghana Health Service also puts up notices, okay, especially on their website. Sometimes there are the adverts and all these flyers that move around just to help us alert us on what is happening.
I read the 2018 Ghana Health Service reports on prevalence of diseases, and they said malaria is recorded at a rate of 40% averagely at OPDs. Is that the case?
So usually that's the case, but again, sometimes data can be skewed if we also don't produce good data. So for a while now, Ghana Health Service has been telling us, like, we keep on preaching test and treat, okay? There are lots of diseases, again, as with COVID, that can present similarly like malaria, okay? So if you don't test, it's difficult to find out really whether it could be malaria that is causing it. Remember that influenza too is seasonal. About this time too, we may have influenza, a lot of the flu virus. So a lot of people go through a whole lot of viral infection and they might mistakenly, take it as malaria. But by and large, depending on how the results are churned out, if testing is done, yes, malaria continues to be the commonest disease, especially in these seasons, in the rainy season.
Now, as we transition and try to do the combination of thoughts in terms of what the annual ones will be, diarrhea, cholera, malaria, common cold, and now that we have COVID, how then do you advise that we go about from the domestic side or from the home if we feel that something is untoward in our body within this time?
So, thank you. So for me, the first thing to do regarding anybody's health is preventive measures, okay? We can never overemphasize on the helpfulness or the need for hand washing. By and large, most of these diseases come as a result of improper, healthy living, more related to sanitation and how we handle our foods, our environment, okay? So if we start with the basics, which is hand washing can go a long way to avert a lot of diseases that can be caused by even these diarrheal disease and then with viral diseases. When it comes to malaria, unfortunately, around us, we have things that are difficult to control now, but of course the government has to help. So we see a lot of puddles, formed as a result of the rainwater, Then we have a lot of containers around us, which will all collect water. And funny enough, people think that malaria is usually as a result of dirty water, choke gutters and all that. Yes, those choke gutters and dirty environments can also drive the diarrheal disease. But the mosquito, the Anopheles mosquitoes, it thrives. It breathes more in the clean water. So around us, if we are able to clean our surroundings, get rid of these car tires, bottles around, which will all collect water, we would first of all decrease the breeding rates of these mosquitoes, because it's these mosquitoes that are going to, as it were, grow the organisms, like the pathogens that are going to cause the plasmodium that is going to cause the malaria. So if you get rid of it, you don't even have the malaria in the first place. Then going back again to preventive measures, we have mosquito nets. Unfortunately, that drive, you hear about it for a while, then you don't hear about it again. It's as very important as it was in the past as it is now, okay? Mosquito net has been known to avert a lot of malarial disease and death, so as much as 30%, okay? So around that, if we can't do much regarding the control of the mosquitoes, if we have been able to sort out like the containers, get rid of all of them, but of course, unfortunately, we have puddles that we can't do much about, trenches and all that, we can't do much about it. Sleeping in the mosquito net is also very helpful, especially around this time. And of course, with the COVID and all that, we should be alert for symptoms, fever, sore throats, chest pain, breathlessness, so that we report immediately. And the diarrheal disease, we should be more cautious about our food handling. As much as we can, we should cook more at home when we can, and then be mindful of our surroundings, keep the places where we handle our foods very clean, and use potable water when we can.
We are told that when it comes to COVID, there's a certain demographic in the population that are always covered. They have good immune system, you know, the generalizations. If we bring that story home, those statistics, how can we relate that to what we're discussing now?
So I don't know if I would agree with you regarding immunity for COVID and all that you were saying. All I know is COVID is no respecter of persons. It's a new virus, okay? So we haven't had immunity as a community at all. What is said is that some people are more at risk of severe disease, okay? And they are the ones with the comorbidities. Otherwise, everybody is at risk of COVID, okay? So the whole concept of washing hands with soap and water, clean water, using a sanitizer, staying at home, social distancing is still very relevant here, okay? It is no respect of person. You can't say it belongs to a certain class of people. Yes, some class of people might have been engaged in some activities and might have been predisposed, they might have had the exposure. But for now, it's no respecter of persons. But people who will really get severe disease are those that we often talk about, those with comorbidities, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, elderly, and so forth. Yeah.
Many of us have children, and now children are home. But I see a certain pattern, and I live the life, and I'm sure you live it too, because you're a health professional. You're at the end or the beginning of the treatment phase. Because based on my experiences and relating to health professionals, all of you now have become frontline people. You're reporting the cases now in the centers. And where I work as a media person, I also do the interfacing. So I will say that my interaction with population is higher. Since we have a lot of children at home, and then we may have maybe family taking care of, elderly family taking care of them, or some category of people and the children are home, what would you advise? Because we go out and we have to come in.
Okay, so let's take myself, for example. Thankfully, my mom is at home taking care of my children. I visit them during the weekends, okay? But again, I can't be immune to the virus. So usually everything still applies. Washing of the hands, personal hygiene also still applies. The children, I teach them how to also wash their hands and keep good hygiene. And for a while now, a lot of people have been taking supplements and all that. It's good. Eating healthily is good, okay? Taking vitamin C is good, okay? So if you're able to maintain those personal hygiene, we are able to wash our hands and all that, they are still protected. And then again, coming back to us, if you are leaving your workplace, it is still very important to clean your hands. If you can have, like for us, we have dresses we wear at work, okay? Then when we are coming back to the house, we change. Some people have the opportunity of even washing down at work, which is also good. But when you come home, try and keep your used clothes, at a safer place to be washed later if you can. And then wash down immediately, so that at the end of the day, should you, of course, you were exposed, you decrease the risk of exposure to your children as well. And regarding you coming home, some people can't afford to stay away from their families because they have really nowhere to go. So those are the bits and pieces that I'll put in. We still should continue with cleaning of surfaces and all that, even though CDCs and WHO has come to say that it adds little to the transmission. But yes, it should still not prevent us from keeping ourselves clean. Even if it's not COVID, it will decrease transmission of other infections.
The related issues of how we are able to navigate this would mean that we have to keep ourselves safe. Now, there are children going to school at the basic level, pupils. We've been asked to categorize them per what they are. Now, since they live in the house and leave that house to school and come back, how prone are they to such infections, either infections related to the season or to COVID?
So, sorry. Hello. So regarding those who are moving to and fro from their homes to school, the same rule applies, okay? Have your face mask on and practice social distancing. And if you are aware, on the television and some other billboards, it's been there have been a lot of videos that the Ghana Health Service, Ghana Educational Service has churned out regarding what the children should do. With respect to such COVID, yeah. So I think if they just comply with all that, and then in their movements, they also wear their face masks, they keep to the hand washing and all that, they would be fine. And remember, for now, the school distancing is still restricted. It's those who have gone, like those who have exit exams, who have been asked to go to school. So we are not going to have much overcrowding. And I believe there have been a lot of rules set out for the teachers in school as to what the children should do and what they shouldn't do. There's social distancing, how they should sit and all. If we comply with those things, there's a better likelihood that the children might be safer, okay? But otherwise, if we just let everything loose, we go back to our former behavior patterns, that is when they are more at risk of getting COVID.
Covering elections, registration since Tuesday. And the pictures we've been showing or seeing and showing don't tell us a good story. I'm sure you have cited some, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Now, these pictures, if you have the feed even on your Zoom there, are showing people not observing protocols, face masks wearing, distancing, etc. Worse in Accra. From the stables of somebody who is an infectious disease specialist and the discussion we're having, how can you interpret these things you're seeing?
So it's unfortunate with all that is happening. Sometimes I wonder if we still think COVID is a lie. From some of your interviews with people in their homes, a good number of people still believe that it's non-existent. And they have all these myths that they believe they won't get COVID. It's unfortunate to see what we saw. With the crowd restrictions of even 100 or so, we are still not complying. Where we have reached with COVID, okay, we need to take it up on a community-based level. wherever the registrations are taking place, I believe there are district assemblymen, there are authorities in those areas that we can by ourselves protect, rather than always look up to the government to step in. So if the MP of those areas, or the whoever has authority in those districts, can get to those places and enforce that there's hand washing, there's social distancing, that this number of people, strict number of people at a certain area at a particular time, like what was done at Redchurch. They marked some areas where people are supposed to sit, and they make sure that there isn't overcrowding by doing all that, okay? I think for us Ghanaians, we wait so much, everything has to be government. But unfortunately, the disease is with us. So on a community level, I think this is what we should be doing. Authorities in each community is as important, the registrations as important to them as every politician. I mean, everybody in this community should ensure that these practices go on safely. And that can be done by also making sure that the behavioral patterns that have been prescribed are adhered to.
All right, so we have to announce the phone line, 055 66 14049. We want you to join us. Our phone line is only one, not the 030. Please don't call that line. Call this line. We'll put it on the screen for you. 055 66 14049. Well, if you have questions and perhaps even physically you're not feeling well, or you just feel that, that tinge of unwellness is within you, please, this is the time for you to call, get interactive, let us know what you think. And the number is 055 66 14049. Again, 055 66 14049. And let me just ask a question related to still the registration exercise. Now, while we say we want to wait for the authorities to do the enforcement, and for us also to obey the protocols, after anybody, could be in any constituency, has visited any of those registration centers where these protocols have not been observed, what should we be doing after we come back to our reality or home?
Okay. So, sorry, looking at your screen, I'm actually checking to see whether there's the Veronica buckets or any place that we can have hand washing. But as an individual, even if we don't have it there, unfortunately, we should have it there. I mean, but even if we don't have it there, I think we have it sanitizers. We should sanitize our hands there and then, okay? Then when we get home, we wash our hands. And of course, you shouldn't go there without your mask on. And having a mask on can be as ironical as putting it, as people will call it, having a chin mask. We should refrain from those things. Have it on to protect yourself, all the way from your nose to your chin. But when you get home, washing of hands, key. So when you get to wherever where the registration place, avoid the physical contact as much as you can with people and then with objects around.
In the UK, they practice this community type of health system. You go see a GP, and I've interacted with some Ghanaians who are GPs, and they say they don't treat COVID. So they have the protocols well laid out. If we want to maybe transpose that into our system, what would that be? You're in a community, you've gone through these registration centers, you're not feeling well. What would that be?
So in the first place, some community centers, hospitals, or health services have telemedicine. If you can afford, that's fine. At UGMC, they have an app called Lucy, okay? Lucy. So if you have, unfortunately, is marked for certain higher grades of smartphones. So if you can get on to Lucy, you can upload your complaints and you can get a doctor attending to you. If you get aside that, if you go home and then you have symptoms, okay, this is not the time that people who especially shop, do hospital shopping, that's not the time to just go and do checkup and all that, okay? Because a lot of our hospitals are choked with COVID patients and other cases that are really putting a strain on the hospitals. But of course, if you have the need to go to the hospital, if there's really a problem, don't still sit at home. If you can't get onto this telemedicine, if you can't get onto the apps, if you could get onto that, that's the best, because you'll be monitored frequently, sometimes more than once a day. At least you'll get someone call you if the need be. Okay. So if you can't do that, there are other hospitals. We have a lot of health posts and polyclinics around. You can visit one so that in case there's anything more serious or sinister, it can be solved quickly. Otherwise, again, the preventive measures just to protect yourself.
Again, the phone line is announced 055-6614-049. Let us know what you think. But what will be your advice as we wrap up this conversation?
So the message is still clear. Stay safe. Stay at home if you don't need to go anywhere. Put your face mask on, but most importantly, wash your hands as often as possible. You can't replace hand washing with any other thing. The alcohol hand rub is for you to use when you don't have water, clean water and soap available. If you use your alcohol hand rub about 4 to 5 times, try and wash your hands thereafter. Again, with respect to malaria and other diseases that come with rainfall, try and keep your environment clean. Do away with the puddles if you can. Fill the holes, the craters that from the puddles. Report places where you are having construction, that there are big trenches that people are refusing to deal with, so that those trenches can be filled. And keep your surroundings clean. Handle your food properly. If you can, cook as much as possible from the house. Eat hot food. And try and exercise. Eat fruits washed very well. Okay? If you get any diarrheal disease, think of rehydration as soon as possible. Get ORS, in your house. If you can't get it, you can make the ORS at home. Usually it's a simple one. Half teaspoon of some table salt, 6 teaspoons of sugar with 1 liter of water. If any diarrhea or vomiting start rehydration immediately, okay? Observe for children who are not active, who are not crying. If they cry, you don't even see any tears. Those are the things that you should take immediately to hospital. Otherwise, start rehydration with ORS as soon as possible. Supplements with coconut juice if you can, orange juice, bananas, so that, it doesn't get worse by the time you seek help.
Well, thank you very much. Dr. Isabella Ifuasamwa. I remember I read something on TB, as was published about, I believe, 2 years ago. Your name was also in there as one of the main contributors. So we'll see how it goes. It was guidelines for TB preventive therapy in Ghana. But for all the good work you're doing for the health service in Ghana, with all the sacrifices, I'll say that we wish you well, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Dr. Isabella Ifuasamwa, that's quite educated.
Yeah, absolutely. She's an infectious disease specialist at the Kolibu Fevers Unit and UGMC. Basically, we have our lives. If your life means something everything to you, it should mean everything to you. And if it does, you follow those tips that she's given on the dehydration, particularly eat a lot of fruits and make sure that your system is strong enough to fight any diseases. We've been talking about, we'll give you the opportunity to call us, but let's go to Maxwell Agbagba, who is roving for us this morning. He is at Legon, in one of those centers where the registration is ongoing. He's reporting of long queues We'll come back so you can join us. But Maxwell, where exactly are you? And help us understand that situation.
Well, Mamavi, I'm here at the Mensa Saba Hall, as you rightly mentioned. I'm here on the University of Ghana campus. Scores of people have gathered here, all waiting to go and register. What is happening is that it's happening in the hall itself. So you'd have to go through the gates and then go and register. And those barricades there, we have 2 security men stationed there. They'll make sure you wash your hands with liquid soap, clean it. Your temperature is checked before you get access to the registration center itself. Mamavi, here at the University of Ghana, from all around since Monday, I think this is the only place where we've seen some semblance of social distancing. Although, I mean, people are sitting close, it's better than what we've seen in many parts of Accra since Monday. A lot of the people I've seen here are also wearing masks. That's quite, expected, because the University of Ghana is an institution of higher, learning. I have one gentleman here. Let me speak to him. Sir, what's your name?
I'm Hans. Hans.
Hans?
Yes, please.
Okay, Hans, tell me, how long have you been here?
Let's say we've been here since 6:45.
6:45. Okay, you're waiting to go inside?
Yes, please.
Okay. You're studying here at the University of Ghana?
Yeah, I'm a level 200 student here.
Okay. Okay. So what's the motivation to get the ID card? Do you just want it for to access some services, or you really want to exercise your civic duty in December?
So let's say I want to exercise my civic duty in December, and also it's the right of every Ghanaian to have the ID, just to identify you that you're also part of, how should I say, Ghana.
Okay. So what time are you hoping to get in there?
Approximately maybe 10 o'clock, or considering the line, approximately 10 at least. Okay. If the machine works very efficient and fast, approximately 10.
Okay. You think it's worth the wait?
Well, yes, it's worth the wait, because having an ID, maybe going for opportunities, they may ask, maybe creating bank accounts and stuff, they may ask for IDs and stuff, so it will be worth the wait.
Okay. Okay, sure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, so you just heard from Hans. Hans is a student here at the University of Ghana, but you can see all these people seated here. They're all waiting to get to the registration center itself when the tests they attend. But I want to take you in there just so you have a feel of what is happening and how the registration is going here. Security is really tight here. We have political party representatives also seated there, making sure that the right people come and do take part in the registration exercise. In fact, yesterday we heard allegations of one political party busing people here to come and register. Let's get in there and speak to the people who are waiting to take part in this exercise. Hello, good morning. Yeah. Okay, my temperature has been checked already, so I can enter. Thank you very much. Okay. So let's go inside and then. So this is it. The registration center here at the University of Ghana here. We have some political party reps here. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Walker Obindako.
Paul?
Walker Obindako.
Walker Obindako. Okay. You are?
I'm the deputy organizer for Yawasu West NDC.
Oh, deputy youth organizer for the NDC.
Deputy organizer.
Organizer for the NDC.
Yes, please.
Okay. Tell me, how's the exercise going here for you so far?
Oh, so far today has been very peaceful, but yesterday we had a whole lot of issues, scaffolds and all of that confusions when we were getting to the tail end of the registration. And that what really happened here was that the EC officers have a very great concern that they've been telling us that they don't want anything to actually happen after they are done with the registration, in case they will have a backlog of forms that they filled already. Okay. So when we got to around 4 p.m., they told us that they are not going to fill the forms again, and that the process should continue from where they are actually doing the ID card. So that's what brought a little bit of confusion, and that we got to that point and we resolved it. it was at that point where some issues came up. But what I've observed here is that it looks as if the parliamentary candidate of the parliamentary candidate of the MPP, who is the MP here, is actually bent on using intimidation once again to win. We observed this thing in the by-elections. I also we know.
If you talk about intimidation, what exactly do you mean? Because it's only the NDC that is raising, these concerns. Yesterday, your constituency chairman made an allegation that the incumbent MP is busing people to this constituency to register. But how can we say this without the evidence? What's the evidence?
You see, Max, what I would say is this. We have people on the ground that are monitoring things. The grounds is actually charged for change in Ayawaso West Wogon. So any slightest move that the MP makes, people call in to inform. And they don't just call to inform. They send picture evidence, they send video evidence. And I believe that if the NDC did not have any cause to complain, we are never going to call anything of this sort on the MP. Here in this particular polling station, yesterday we have people who are masked, claiming to be national security, claiming to be BNI officers.
People who are what?
They were marked actually. Ayawaso West.
Are you talking about the COVID-19 face mask?
No, with the marks like this, covering like your face with a cap. How can you even see the person's face?
Claiming from where?
Claiming that they are BNI officers, national security here, intimidating people. But what we can say is that,
with the benefit of hindsight, with what we know from the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election, this is a serious allegation you're making now.
Yes, and they were here, right here in this hall.
What were they doing here?
They came here because there were some disagreements. Their people called them, and they came here to stand here, intimidating people. They even threw a man's cap away, one of our lecturers. They took the cap off and they threw it away, trying to cause him to get angry, and they actually beat him up. You see, what we are saying is simple. When the people are ready to change you, no matter the intimidation, you intimidate them. It won't work. And you see, Ayawaso West Wogon has been one of the peaceful constituencies ever. Ever since this member of parliament came, that's when we started experiencing some of these things. Because here on campus, I've been here for about 6 years, and I've never seen any registration or any that had resulted in fights and all of that. So the problem is the person who came in that have caused things to change. It's not the NDC.
And you think your candidate is formidable enough to win?
Max, what I'm saying is that
parliamentary candidate I'm talking about, John Dumelo.
What I'm saying is that the grounds is charged for change. And no matter what they do, that's why everything that they seem to be doing, people just call us. We don't even go to actually look for the information. People just keep calling us, giving us the information so that we can actually act on it.
We know because of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of the students, continuing students, level 100 to level 300, they are at home currently. If the MP gets a bus to bring some of the students onto campus to come and register, would you call that busing of people who are not qualified to come and register?
It's actually illegal because, you see, the government gave a directive that we all must follow, that it is only the level 400s who are supposed to be here. So as an MP, if you endanger the lives of these young people and bus them here in a very compact manner to actually cause them to even contract this disease, what would you achieve? Why do we seek power in this way?
Okay, let me talk to you. You can stand here for me. So what's your name?
Please, my name is Pius Theophilos Beidu.
Okay, you are?
I'm the former JCR president of this hall, former hall president.
Okay, former hall president. What have you observed? I can call you an independent observer. What have you observed so far? What has the process been like here?
Yeah, I think generally the process has been very free and fair. Everything, generally there's calmness and everything. But it was just yesterday that we have a little bit of issues with the EC, particularly with the EC from on the second polling station, trying to, disenfranchise people strategically, I should say, because at a point she said she will put a quota on the registration. She register only 150 people. We spoke to her, and then because the module is that she's supposed to register till it's 6 p.m. then she stops. So we spoke to her. Her boss came around, and the registration was moving smoothly. And then at 4, they decided that they won't register again because they are going to attend to other matters. So that brought a little bit of scuffle. But this morning, I think the police have been deployed. There's calm, social distancing is being observed. I think a lot of people are not in the hall. People have joined the queue. the outside, and everything is moving smoothly.
So per your assessment on a scale of 0 to 10, independent assessment, of course, 0 to 10, what would you rate this?
Oh, I will rate this exercise 7 over 10.
7 over 10?
7 over 10.
Okay.
But we are not done yet. They'll be here till Sunday.
Okay.
And this is the 3rd day here. I think so far everything is fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this is what is going on here at the Mental Saba Hall. This is one of the registration centers. One of them, there's another one just some distance away from this place. And you heard me speak to the youth organizer, the organizer actually, the NDC organizer for the Ayaso West Wogon constituency. He was making some allegations. Let me state that we cannot independently verify these claims from him. We actually tried as much as possible to get the NPP rep who is here, but we've not found any NPP rep here who can actually respond to the allegations from the NDC youth organizer. So yeah, you can see the seats here. When you walk in and get access to this registration center, you sit here and before you go up there and then register. Like I mentioned earlier, for all the places that we've been, this is where we're seeing some kind of social distancing. Some, very not that as we would expect, but some bit of it. For the wearing of the mask, all the people I've met here, many of them, I can say 90% of them are wearing masks. That is expected. This is the University of Ghana, an institution of higher learning. We expect better, from them. So that is what is happening here.
Yeah, Maxwell couldn't help it but go back to his old school. Higher learning indeed. Maxwell Agagwa roving for us this morning, reporting on the ongoing registration exercise from the University of Ghana, Legon.
And we know that Sir John, that is Kojo Usue-Frie, the Chief Executive for the Forestry Commission, passed. And ultimately, the tributes have been flowing on social media. We have to go onto Facebook and then get the latest update from our page. And when we made the announcement based on the post that we have Mami Wall posting, Sir John, rest in peace. This also should send signal to all that COVID-19 that is real and has no respect for any being. So let's all abide by the protocols, please. You see, she is appealing. Now, Pro-Fight says, rest well, sir. You served MPP and Ghana well. Amwa Kwesi Sebastian post. Sad news there. He taught a multitude to fear double standard human beings. May his soul rest in peace.
Fear delegates.
Yeah, that's his famous phrase. Chakpa William, I personally like this man. May his soul rest well. It's because of wicked Akufo-Addo, who only thinks of holding on to power. He does not care if people lose their lives. God Almighty is the ultimate judge. Alexander Sefa, may his gentle soul rest in peace till we meet again. Heaven knows where we are going. Mr. Fear Delegates, now I fear death more than delegates. Michael Kwesi Jascott, Baumia was all over doing politics with this deadly disease, saying they have managed it better than Dumso. Now the reality of it is exposing them. Anyway, may he rest in peace. Michael Kwesi Jascott says, Eja Ben, oh my God, from the mountains of South Broken. Sir John, rest in peace. Agbaku Acha, what shall a man gain if he gets the whole world and loses his soul? May his soul rest in peace. Santino Collion 5 says, Santino Collion, that's from Mario Puzo's book, Godfather. Which what? Many more to come. Is he better than those who died of cholera? Look out for his funeral. Wow, that's very gross. Well, we have more of these comments on our Facebook page. Well, Mama, we like to talk about the Black Stars, but more so...
let's stay with it. Yesterday when we reported this incident, head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, who, we also know was really close to Sir John, had some words that he shared.
what you want this place to be by the time that you leave? What do you want your legacy to be?
Well, first of all, we have a lot of degradation out there. And I want to leave the Forestry Commission leaving a legacy of having planted these trees back and having made Ghana green again, and to put smiles on all of us, because trees, help all of us to live and live very well. So I want to be remembered for that. So far, we've done 10 million trees. This year, I hope to do another 10 million. And by the time that we leave, after 8 years of Akufo-Addo's administration, we would have had over 80 to 100 million trees. And then thereafter, after Akufo-Addo left after 8 years, and there's a continuation by Baumia, we also have another same trees. So that would be fantastic, and that's what I pray for, and that's what I hope to do.
There's a lot I want to ask about that last comment, but I don't have time. Thank you very much, for joining us.
Sir John.
Okay, this rather was Joy News's last interview with Sir John on PM Express with Evans Mensah. He went to his office to do the recording.
Yeah, pre-COVID lockdown.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, there's also a very famous appearance in courts, Roland Walker, of Sir John, that we want to remind our viewers, It
was about during the period of the election petition, and there was a case of contempt of courts, and he had to make that appearance for utterances he had made while contributing to media programming. Okay. Now let's talk 10 years of that game, and that miss it was.
Yeah.
Did you watch the match that day?
I did.